What's up, guys, and welcome back. Today I want to introduce you to my sexy ass man.
Going on.
If you are not already subscribed to his YouTube channel, he makes content all about biohacking. This is him, and today we are answering your questions on relationship advice.
I've never done this, by the way. This is new for me, so
Let's jump right in. Angela says, how do you truly forgive without holding a grudge in future conflicts? I think that this is it's kind of a situational basis kind of thing because it depends on the severity of what this person has done to you. Like, if your significant other cheated on you, I don't think that it's necessary to forgive them. I think that it's necessary to kick them to the curb and say, peace out, deuces. I'm doing my own thing. But eventually you are going to want to forgive that person even if you're not in contact with them. And you don't even have to say to them, like, I forgive you. Like, you just are going to want to forgive them for yourself so that you're not holding on to that, because whatever you don't release and feel, you're storing in your body, and it's better to feel it and let go of it than have to relive it every day for the rest of your life.
nowadays a lot of people, they're walking around, they're living life, they're day in and day out, holding grudges against someone else. You know, even when you're driving to work and this guy cuts you off and you slam on your horn, you say, well, you know, get out of the road. And as you drive to work, your energy changed because of that circumstance. And essentially, if your energy's not back to where it belongs, aka homeostasis, then that means you're holding a grudge, and that grudge is affecting your present moment, your day. It's affecting your moment. In Angela's situation, if she's holding a grudge against her significant other, and as Sanella said, these emotions are stored in the body. We're chemicals. We're just a bunch of chemicals. And if you're holding a grudge against this person, you're not going to be living the quality of life that you should truly be living.
Would you say that it's easier to not hold a grudge for just a stranger than it is for forgiving a grudge from your partner? Because I would say that that's two very different things. Like, for example, if you did something really messed up to me, it would take me a lot longer to forgive you than someone who's a stranger or maybe a friend even, because I put so much trust in you to not do those things to me. And I think that's honestly what it boils down to, is like the level of trust that you have. And if that trust is broken in a relationship, like, it's really tough to say, like, if you should continue in that relationship based on the severity of what they did. So if they just did something, you know, like maybe like liking someone's picture, like on Instagram or whatever. I know a lot of people fight about that. I think it also depends on how the person reacts to your emotional upset. Communication is really, really important in a relationship, and I think if you bring this up to your partner and they're very understanding and they see your point of view, I think that'll also make it a lot easier to not hold that grudge, is that they're holding themselves accountable and their actions are reflecting their words, that they're not going to do this again. So I think that the reaction of your partner also plays a big role in if you should forgive them or not. But if these same patterns kind of keep coming up and there is that grudge that's being held, it's for a reason, and because there's no basis of trust in the relationship. So I think that, you know, if that's the case in your situation, you might want to kind of reflect and take a step back and look at things, see what your friends and family who are also witnessing this are saying to you, because it might be time to take those things into consideration.
It depends on the circumstances. It depends what happened to you, okay? Again, as Sanella said, if you're holding a grudge about, you know, your significant other because they liked an Instagram post or another person's post, those type of issues are minuscule compared to if that person actually cheated on you.
I don't like when he likes other people's pictures, but we've had that conversation and he changed that real quick. So it matters if that person is changing their actions based off of the communication that you had afterwards.
Yes.
I'm just going to interject that in there.
Yes, but all in all, and the most important lesson here is that holding a grudge ruins your life. Holding a grudge creates these emotions within you that are stored in the body, and your life is a whole lot less joyful and happy because you're holding this grudge. Now, when you're 80 years old, 90 years old, and you reflect on your life and you look back and you think about the situation and you think about how you acted in all those years, and you wonder and you're like, wow, I wonder how my life would have been like if I just let those emotions go. If you come to terms with whatever the person did, you just accept it.
That doesn't mean that you need to stay with them.
No, that's a whole different question. This is about strictly holding a grudge. You could still accept the emotions, release them, and be with the person. If you know that this person is your soulmate, if you know that this person is not going to screw up again, then continue the relationship. But you could also hold a grudge and release the emotions and come to peace with those emotions and not be with the person. And you could move on and you could live your life at peace, knowing that you released this grudge, and when you're 80, 90 years old, you're not going to regret.
And one last thing, if you do decide to stay with this person and you guys did have a big fight, it is going to take a little while to earn that trust again. But if you do see the value in the relationship and you think it's something that's worth pursuing, then, eventually that trust will come back. Like, I know we've had a few pretty big fights, and it did take a little while, for that wall to kind of come down again. And that's something that I personally need to work on in like all areas of my life. That's kind of where you have to make that discernment is this person taking accountability and are their actions matching up with their words where I can start to trust them again? Or is this a repeated pattern and are they going to keep doing the same shit? And is it time for me to walk away? Okay, Victoria wants to know how to manifest a new healthy relationship, making sure that it's a good connection, because sometimes people are only caring and good at first. That's a really good question.
As I think about this question, Joe Dispenza comes to mind. And he
Love Joe
says,
Dispenza.
you're never going to change until you change your energy. Your life is not going to change until you change your energy. What I do in order to manifest and attract and maintain healthy relationships, every morning when I wake up, I just do a quick 10-minute meditation. I sit down in this chair and I just feel my breath. I feel my soul. I feel the energy. And then I start to think, how do I want to show up for today? Who you want to show up as? I think about synchronicities I'm going to create today because I'm elevating my energy. And when you do this, you come out of this meditation, your brain is full of endorphins and serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin. Once you come out of that, and if you can maintain that energy throughout the whole entire day, you will literally be the creator of your reality, and you will manifest and attract healthy, happy, joyful, all around great relationships. You first have to act like every second that you have healthy relationships already. And I just want to end with this. Sometimes the people that come into your life, even if you are emitting this healthy relationship energy, someone might come into your life and you might begin to form a relationship with that someone, and that relationship might not be healthy, but it's not because of something you're doing, it's because of the other person and their action. And we just have to remember one important lesson, and it's we don't control other people.
We attract other people.
We attract other people.
And that person, once you do all of what Will is saying to do and like working on yourself and like being in that mindset that you have healthy relationships around you already, that person is not going to be attractive anymore. They're not going to be attractive. They're not going to get attracted into your life. He has a way with words of basically what I was going to say. If I were trying to manifest a healthy relationship right now, I would first look at my past relationships. I would look at my relationship with my parents and see what kind of toxic patterns there are there, because psychologically, women tend to go after a partner that mimics one of their parents, usually the more toxic dynamic one, which can turn into really unhealthy habits. And that's kind of why you end up in these situations where you're asking yourself, why am I here again? That would be the first thing that I would do, and like really make a list of like these patterns that I keep falling into, because it's a cycle, and the sooner you learn from that cycle and you break that cycle, the sooner you will be able to kind of clear that karma and move on to a new chapter in your life where you can have something healthy. Before I was with Will, I was literally in the most toxic, abusive relationship with a narcissist, and those were qualities that I was repeating from my parents. The next thing that I would do is write down all of the qualities of your perfect person. Like, there's no such thing as asking for too much. Like, you can go right down to like all of the physical qualities, like what they do for fun, where they work, whatever you want. Like, nothing is too big to ask for from the universe. If you can imagine it, it's possible. Say you want someone who's like physically fit, okay? They're gonna be in the gym a lot probably. So if you want to meet someone who works out a lot, you have to take inspired action. Take all of those non-physical qualities of that person that you are trying to manifest and start doing those things, because you attract not what you want, but you attract what you are. You might meet someone if you start going to the gym, even if you're just taking a walk or you're swimming in the pool or you're playing basketball, you might encounter that person that you are trying to attract. So that can go for any of these things. Maybe you want someone who's intelligent and reads books. You might meet them at a bookstore. You might meet them at a convention. That's basically the gist of how to manifest new healthy relationships.
And I just also want to add one quick thing. I think it's smart for every single one of us to maybe on a weekly basis take 3 minutes to reflect on your current reality and analyze your life. Think about all the people in your life and think about your values and what you believe in, and make sure they're all aligned. Once a week, to have this reflection, make sure you're still aligned to your path, what you want and who you want. A lot of people don't take the time to go deep and reflect on their life, because once we reflect on our life, we see little flaws that we can tweak and fix. And once we begin to start getting real good at identifying those flaws and making those tweaks, our life is just going to get better and better and better and better.
When Will first came into my life, I was not looking for a relationship at all. I was so focused on myself. I was hyper independent at that time, and that ended up being actually when he came into my life. So I think really, taking the time to get to know who you are, showing yourself appreciation, treating yourself the way that another person would. And I think that when you're so comfortable in providing yourself with everything that you need emotionally, that's when someone can walk into your life that can give you the same thing. Mel asks, how do y'all keep the spice in the relationship so it won't get boring?
Well, I need to say that if you want to keep the spice layering and nice and hot, nice and juicy in the relationship, your partner needs to be on board with that, okay? Because you can't just be doing all the spicy shit. You can't be the one making it all spicy, okay? It has to be a reciprocal relationship, a reciprocal spiciness.
There has to be a reciprocity. You can't be
Yes.
jalapeno and they're vanilla.
Yes. That's number one. Reflect on what actually turns you both on. For some people, it could be vibrating gadgets and toys. For other people, it could be
Dirty talk,
or it could be, a little bit of pain with the whips or the bites or the pinches, or it could be hot, it could be cold. So figure out what actually turns you on. You need to know what turns each other on. And then once you figure out what turns each other on, this is when it gets fun, because this is when you could take this thing called a computer, go online and search for the craziest toys and the craziest just sex gadgets. It's 2022. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. And I will admit, I haven't looked at any of new sex toys and gadgets ever. And now that I'm actually thinking about this question and saying it out loud, I think I will. Because nowadays, there's a whole lot of stuff.
I think keeping the spice in the relationship, going off of what Will said, I think communication and self-exploration are both so important when you're trying to keep the spice, because like Will was saying, you need to know what turns the other person on and what makes them feel aroused and what feels good for them. And if you're not communicating that to your partner and they're not communicating it back to you either, there's really no way of knowing what they like, and then you're gonna have a really unfulfilling sex life. But I think also knowing your own body and doing self-exploration and seeing what you like, figuring that out on your own when no one else is there and you're just in the comfort of your own energy and privacy, I think that also helps a lot with communicating your wants and needs to your partner. You have to be able to feel comfortable enough to communicate trying these new things so that things don't get boring. Also, I think that practicing celibacy can also be very helpful in keeping the spice in the relationship, just because I've talked about this in another video of mine, Sex and Spirituality, sexual transmutation, which is basically when you withhold your sexual energy, your orgasm, and you redirect that energy and you channel it into some kind of creative work, and then that work comes out really good. There's time in between you guys having sex, so things get a little bit more spicy then when you haven't done it in a while. Oh, and then I do also want to mention that, of course, like as you are together for years and years, it's not going to be the same as when you first got together within like the first 3 months. It's not like normal to be like 2 or 3 or 5, 10 years into a relationship and still want to have sex 9 times a day like you did when you first started dating. There's just a lot of that like dopamine and serotonin within the first year of being together. Well, actually, I would even say like in the first 3 months. I think Dr. Bruce Lipton talked about this before too, is that you are both just so high on serotonin and dopamine. So don't feel bad if you aren't, doing it like bunnies anymore once you get a little bit further into your relationship, because in the beginning it really is just all of these chemicals running through our body that make us want to do that. Whatever feels good for you and your partner, whatever is enough for you guys, that is totally perfect and normal. Victoria asks, how to let go of a past lover that you truly connected with at one point after a breakup. I'll go first.
You start.
Okay, so I think it totally depends on the person. Like my ex-boyfriend, I was like, peace, I never ever want to see you again. Like I know that that's not very spiritual of me, but can you blame me? I'm traumatized. If you really connected with this person and if you're meant to be with them, you have to just know that if it's meant to be, the universe will bring it back into your life. If it's not meant to be, it was never meant to be. Some people are only there to teach us lessons, like we have like karmic contracts with certain people and soul contracts. Yes, you can connect with a person for a certain amount of time, but if you feel that connection always, there could be a chance that they come back into your life. But I wouldn't so much like dwell on that.
I would just like to add, if you think or know that you're never going to be with this person again and you still don't know how to get over that person, but yet you won't be together ever again. Well, in that situation, what I like to remind myself, I say it almost daily, is amor fati.
Amor fati, baby.
It's a Latin phrase which refers to and means love of one's fate. And essentially, whatever happens to us in life, no matter what it is, it could be good, it could be bad. However, it's another conversation, because that actually every event that occurs in our life is neutral. We give it the subjective label of it's good by our opinion, or it's bad because of our opinion. Obviously, if you're no longer with this person, you still feel the love for them, it's hard for you to get over them, that might be considered a bad situation or a bad event going on in your life right now. But what you have to remember is, one, it's just your opinion of the event is why it's so difficult. But if you learn and change your perspective on the situation, you say, you know what, we had a great time together, I grew because of this person, and even though we might no longer be together, and even though I still love them, that's okay, because the end of this relationship is necessary for something bigger and better in the future. And even though you might not be able to see it now, you just have to trust the process. You just have to trust fate, because life works in mysterious ways, and
the universe is always looking out for you too. Like a lot of people think that the world is against them. No, it's not. Everything is happening for you. It's not happening to you. I think it's really important that you process your pain when you're letting go of someone that you really cared about. You're going through grief, basically. You lost somebody that really meant a lot to you, and you really have to allow yourself to process those emotions and not push them down, because the more we release and we feel our emotions, they are getting out of our body.
And this wraps right back around to the first question.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to just say, remember that, there's someone out there for you. It's a big world, and even though that someone is not the person that you have this love for and that you lost, that's okay. There's still more room in your heart to love another person, the same as or even more as the person that you're mourning. And just remember that everything happens for a reason, and the events that occur in our life are neutral. Just change your perspective and say, I learned a lot from this person, I grew during that relationship, and it turned me into the person I am now. I'm gonna, take what I learned, and I'm gonna go attack my future and achieve my dreams, live my life, and just, enjoy the process.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are not already subscribed to Will's YouTube channel, make sure you head on over there. If you guys found this video helpful or you want us to do a part 2, please leave your questions in the comments. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Let's take a sip from the cup of chance. We're both so young.